Today I'm in the kitchen making appetizers. Puff pastry is a great versatile dough that you can fill with so many sweet and savory fillings. For this one recipe, I'm going to be making Brie bites, mini quiche, pigs in a blanket, balsamic tomato and feta bites, spicy chicken and cheese tartlets, and chocolate croissants. So let's get started. I'm going to be starting this the day before. Making puff pastry requires you to laminate butter inside the dough. To get lots of nice flaky layers, you're going to do a series of rolls, turns, and folds. I'm also going to make any filling I can the day before. That gives me less to worry about the day of my event. To make the puff pastry dough, add 1.5 cups of room temperature water to the bowl of the stand mixer. Add 2 tablespoons of dry milk powder, 1/4 cup of sugar, and stir to dissolve. If you'd prefer to use fresh milk, instead use 3/4 cup of water and 3/4 cup of milk. Sprinkle 2¼ teaspoons of dry active yeast over top and wait a few minutes for it to become foamy. Add in 1 teaspoon of salt and 3½ cups of all-purpose flour. With the dough hook attachment, mix to combine. Add in 3 tablespoons of softened butter and continue to mix with the dough hook until you have a smooth dough. I like to increase the speed of the mixer from slow to medium to help mix in the butter. Remove the dough from the hook and scrape the dough down from the sides to form a ball at the bottom of the bowl. If you wet your hands first, the dough will be easier to handle. Cover and let the dough rest 30 minutes. Then spread the dough out onto a baking sheet lined with cling film. Use your hands to form it into a rectangle about the same size as the pan. If you sprinkle some flour over top, it'll be easier to spread the dough out. Cover and let rise on the counter 1.5 hours. Then transfer the tray and the dough to the refrigerator to chill for 1 hour. Meanwhile, I'm going to get my butter layer ready. Use 1¼ cups of butter and form it into a square. I like to line an 8-inch square casserole dish with cling film. Then I press out my butter evenly into the casserole dish. Place the butter into the fridge to chill along with the dough. I like to pull the butter out 10 minutes before I'm going to roll it. That way it's firm but not rock hard. Place the dough onto a floured countertop and roll it out slightly so it's a little bigger than the butter. Place the butter in the middle of the dough but turned so it looks like a diamond. Dust off any extra flour and fold the corners of the square over to seal in the butter. Roll the dough out into a long rectangle, about 3 times the width of your baking sheet. That way when you fold it into thirds, it fits back into the baking sheet. The butter will now be laminated in the middle of the dough. While you're rolling, make sure to turn the dough and apply more flour as needed so it doesn't stick to the counter or your rolling pin. Fold the dough in thirds and place it back onto the baking sheet. Cover and return to the refrigerator for 4 to 8 hours. For my next rollout, I'm going to be rolling it into another long rectangle, but in the opposite direction as I did last time. For all my other next rolls, I like to roll it a little extra long and fold it into fourths. That way I can sneak in a few more layers of laminated butter. Make sure to move the dough around and apply more flour as needed to keep the dough from sticking to the counter or the rolling pin. Starting at the short sides on the end, fold the dough into thirds or fourths, place it back onto the baking sheet, cover and return to the refrigerator to chill for another 4 to 8 hours. I'm going to repeat the same process for 2 more groups of roll, turn, fold, and chill, but you can do more if you'd like. After this, the dough should be filled with lots of little dots of butter spread out in between the layers of dough. This will make all those delicate layers inside the puff pastry and the golden flaky crust while it's baking. After the dough has rested and risen for the final time, remove it and roll it a little thinner than you have been doing previously. We're now ready to cut it into shapes for the appetizers. For the Brie bites, I'm going to cut little rectangles. I'm going to need one for the top and one for the bottom of each appetizer. Place the dough onto a lined baking sheet. Over half of the squares, cut 3 diagonal slashes with a knife and separate them slightly with your fingers. This will be the top of the Brie bites. Make an egg wash by whisking 1 egg with a fork and brushing it over the dough with a pastry brush. Cut little chunks of Brie a little smaller than the dough, that way you can still seal the edges at the end. Over top of the Brie, you can drizzle some honey, add a red pepper jelly or some fig preserves, or use the filling of your choice. I chose to add a few leaves of rosemary to the ones with the honey. Seal them with the diagonally cut rectangles of dough and press around the edges. Set these aside to rise 1 to 2 hours. Brush the tops with egg wash and bake in a preheated 375° Fahrenheit oven for 10 to 12 minutes or until golden. For the mini quiche or egg cups, cut the dough into circular shapes and press them into a muffin tin. I'm going to make the egg mixture with eggs, cream, and salt and pepper. I use a half a cup of cream for every 4 eggs, so depending on how many quiche you would like to make and how big the cups are, you'll have to adjust the ingredients to suit you. I'm going to sprinkle in some cut ham and shredded cheddar cheese, but you can add whatever fillings you like. Pour the egg mixture into the cups, leaving 1 to 2 centimeters at the top. Set these aside to rise about 1 hour. Bake in a preheated 375° Fahrenheit oven for 12 to 15 minutes or until golden and the egg mixture is set. To make the spicy chicken and cheese tartlets, place 1 cup of cooked shredded chicken into a medium sauce pot. Add in 4 ounces of cream cheese or a half a brick, a 1/4 cup of sour cream, a half teaspoon of garlic powder, and 1 to 2 tablespoons of hot sauce. Stir the mixture to melt and combine. You can also make this mixture the day before and store in the refrigerator until you're ready to assemble your appetizers. Cut the dough into larger squares and press these inside a muffin tin. Pile the mixture into each cup and top with shredded cheese. Set aside to rise 1 hour and then bake in a preheated 375° Fahrenheit oven for 12 to 15 minutes or until golden. For the balsamic tomato and feta bites, add to a saucepan 3 cloves of minced garlic and 2 cups of chopped fresh tomatoes. Place them in a preheated 400° Fahrenheit oven to cook down for 20 to 30 minutes. Remove and stir a few times during the process. You can also cook it down on the stovetop on medium heat until it resembles a thick, chunky sauce. Drizzle over top 1 to 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar and salt and pepper to taste. Allow the mixture to cool slightly, or you can make this the day before and store in the refrigerator until you're ready to assemble the appetizers. Cut the dough into little squares and place a spoonful of the tomato mixture in the center. Sprinkle some feta cheese over top and allow to rise 1 hour. Bake in a preheated 375° Fahrenheit oven for 10 minutes or until golden brown. For the pigs in a blanket, you can use Vienna sausage, cocktail hot dogs, or you can cut regular hot dogs in thirds. Cut a long strip of dough a little smaller than the hot dogs are long. Roll the pastry around the hot dog. Cut and pinch to seal the dough together. Set aside to rise 1 hour. Brush the tops with an egg wash and bake in a preheated 375-degree Fahrenheit oven for 10 minutes, or until golden brown. For my one sweet filling, I'm going to shape the dough into long triangles for croissants. I'm using semi-sweet chocolate chips in mine, but you can use whatever chocolate you like. As you're rolling the dough into a croissant shape, place a small layer of chocolate in the center of the roll. Make sure to fill it just enough so the chocolate stays sealed inside the croissant. Let them rise 1 to 2 hours or until just about doubled in size. Brush the tops with an egg wash and bake in a preheated 375-degree Fahrenheit oven for 12 to 15 minutes, or until golden brown. These are perfect just as they are, but you could add a little chocolate drizzle on top or a brush of vanilla glaze for a little added sweetness. And that is 6 great appetizers you can make from puff pastry dough. Enjoy!